You know guys, at this point, I don't know if there's much more you can say about SpikeTV. We all know what kind of network it was and the chokehold it had over certain groups of people in its prime. During the mid-2000s, Spike was the Wild West of cable TV, even more so than MTV, if you can believe it. This was around the time where all of the different niche cable networks were just throwing anything at the wall to see what stuck. MTV, I think, was the most aggressive, being that they aired roughly 7,000 different dating shows within the span of 5 years, but Spike was no exception. Where MTV's insanity was sort of held at bay and they didn't get too crazy, Spike did not hold back. And it didn't help mixing that with the fact that their target audience was the worst people ever. They were either 12-year-old boys whose frontal lobe had not been developed yet, or 30-year-old men whose frontal lobe had also not been developed yet. Now, up until recently, if you'd asked me what I thought the worst Spike TV show was, I probably would have said Mansers because, obviously,
what drink is most likely to get you into her pants?
It's the one everybody thinks of because it was just so raunchy and in your face, it was hard not to remember it. But now that I'm 25 and my frontal lobe is fully developed, I think, I realize there's a much more deserving show for the title Worst Spike TV Show. And that show is 1,000 Ways to... You know the last word. I rarely ever feel the need to cater to the guys upstairs and censor myself on this channel, because there's no need to. I'm just a sweet little guy. But as some of you may have noticed, this isn't the first time I've talked about this show on this channel. That's because the last time I did, the video got age restricted and completely obliterated in the algorithm. I literally rewrote, refilmed, re-edited the video numerous times and nothing, so let's hope this doesn't happen here. So with that out of the way, 1,000 Ways to Die. 1,000 Ways to Die is an anthology series that recreates unusual supposed deaths, true events, and debunked urban legends, along with interviews featuring real medical experts who describe the logistics behind each one. Now, you guys know I love to make fun of doctors' appearances on Spike TV shows. They're often... Scratch that, they are always very unnecessary. But this show takes that to a whole nother level. You will see what I'm talking about. And it's not just doctors. They bring on literally anyone as an expert on this show. It's the most diverse expert lineup I've seen on a Spike TV show yet. For example, one of the experts from the last video was the self-proclaimed chubby chaser.
I'd have sex with regular-sized women and nothing would happen. Like, it just wasn't doing it for me.
Hey, Chet, yeah, this is Chris. You know that one thing that you're, like, super well known for? Is it when I got arrested for taking a piss inside of that Circuit City on Black Friday? No, I guess you did that too. But no, the other thing. Oh yeah, I'm like a total chubby chaser. Yes, that one. Do you mind coming into the studio for like an hour tops?
Warning. The stories portrayed in this show are based on real deaths and are extremely graphic. Names have been changed to protect the identities of the deceased. Do not attempt to try any of the actions depicted. You will die.
Yeah guys, so just don't recreate any of the people dying stuff from the show about people dying if you needed that disclaimer, which, you know what, I'm giving the Spike TV audience a lot of credit. They probably did. Now, when I make fun of the Spike TV audience, I was the audience. I know firsthand. I probably needed that.
It was the end of another day at Likowski Savings and Loan. Assistant manager Sarah had volunteered to stay late and close up shop.
Now, as you can tell, the narrator is a lot more tame than the Mansers one. It's also just Ron Perlman, the guy that played Hellboy.
But then, one more customer came in to make a withdrawal.
Don't move! Open it.
This first one starts off with a classic bank robbery that also looks like a mini Ocean's 11 heist, but that's besides the point.
As bank robberies go, this one was easy. Maybe a little too easy.
We're then slapped with the first of many plot twists in this show, being that the bank teller and the bank robber are actually besties, and this is an inside job. The first video I did, we watched a lot of Season 2 clips, and this one is Season 5, and I'm realizing they do the subverting your expectations thing all the time in these later episodes. Now back to the robbery, their plan is going pretty smooth, until it doesn't.
Fire suppression system that used carbon dioxide. This would quickly suffocate any fires. And Sarah.
There are different kinds of fire extinguishers.
The first of many doctors we will see, and I will give them credit, this one isn't like so blatantly obvious, like someone's head being removed from their body and then being like, You know. But I think we all get the idea that filling your lungs with carbon monoxide is not ideal.
And you need to be careful because in a closed environment, the buildup or concentration of CO2.
Also, I'm pretty sure SpikeTV just has 2 different 3D character models of the human body. One is male and one is female, with giant tits. That's all they have.
Over 17% concentration is not only putting out the fire, but can put out your life.
All right, Dr. Seuss. I didn't know they were giving the doctors one-liners now. Usually it's just the narrator, and he's always saying some shit like, she tried to make a withdrawal, but ended up taking a withdrawal from living. Because she's dead. She's no longer alive.
A fool and her money were easily departed.
And of course, what I think most people remember about this show is the little death puns at the end of each segment. I mean, I guess they were kind of funny. I guarantee they got a nose exhale laugh out of me when I was a kid, and I respect that because that's mainly what I'm going for on this channel anyways. If I can get you to go, then I've done it. I've made it. Now, as we know, these are based off of true events, and in my first video I said that's just bullshit because I think 99.9% of the time it is bullshit, because oftentimes the scenarios they paint here are like so vague that you just don't even know what to type into Google to find an article about it. But this one was just specific enough, I think I was able to actually find the inspiration for this segment. Basically from the New York Times article I found, it was a bank employee that got locked inside of a bank vault, so they pulled the fire alarm hoping it would get someone's attention to come get her out, and then the rest is the same. But she wasn't a fucking bank robber. That's the thing that this show does. It takes liberties. No matter how disrespectful, they take liberties. One of the things they always do is they make sure that the person that ends up dying is either an idiot or did something stupid to cause their own death, or they're just a piece of shit. Or make them rob a bank. And that's enough justification so you don't feel bad watching this.
Vigil Andy is part of a growing movement of crazed citizen crime stoppers who call themselves real-life superheroes.
So we have this caricature of Kick-Ass running around, comically over-policing people doing not crimes.
Sir, do you have a city vendor's license to be selling this citrus?
But then he stumbles upon a group of teens smoking weed, the way that everybody else does, on top of a roof at 2 p.m. on a fucking Tuesday.
I am Red Justice! Extinguish the illegal drugs and disperse immediately!
But then he does what any sane person would do and pulls out his handy-dandy cattle prod and proceeds to use it on them.
Captain Buzzkill, beat it. Is that an I warned you!
Now, when I first saw this, I thought, okay, the cattle prod is going to be, like, part of his demise, but he's on a roof. They wouldn't just put people on a roof if there wasn't a reason for it.
He tangles with the teens. And when his feet get tangled, he meets a force he can't defeat. Gravity.
I love how they're so unfazed by this. Damn. Fuck. But I know what you guys are thinking. Who hasn't fallen off a tall building face first? Like, there's no way that's killing him.
As this gentleman fell off the roof and impacted on the ground, his skull was traveling at a rapid speed and suddenly stopped by the ground.
Also, I'm pretty sure these guys are kind of on the hook for this. Like, they pulled a Spider-Man 1 manslaughter on him. Alright, that was kind of lame.
Okay, now hold up. Let me get this camera on you.
Like most guys, Deacon loved breasts.
Wow, the first SpikeTV babe of the episode. I'm genuinely surprised it took them 8 minutes to get to that.
Girls and Guns video are an internet sensation. There's one out there with over 14 million hits.
Nothing dates a piece of media more than someone referring to views as hits. So basically, this guy's whole thing is filming hot babes shooting guns, which... Fuck, that's so cool. Why did I fucking think of that? I'm doing this shit.
It was a shot at viral stardom for his female friends, like Tanya.
Ow, my shoulder!
You probably think it's gonna end in him getting shot or something like that, right? Well, wrong. Kind of.
The combination of Irma and an Uzi turned into a real boob burner.
Yep, just a fucking branch. She shoots the branch, but he dies because of a branch. That's it. But what? Impaled by a branch? Really? We've all been there at least once or twice. Give me a fucking break.
30-pound branch, falling 30 feet.
Bob's Bakery was a great place for pastries, but an awful place to work. especially for a woman. Why?
Got some flour here on your...
Bob was a pig.
So this next one has an interesting expert appearance that kind of threw me off, but not because it was like crazy or anything, but, well, you'll see.
The legal definition for sexual harassment is unwarranted, unwanted, physical, and verbal sexual abuse.
I guess I didn't have HR rep on my 1,000 Ways to Die expert bingo card. I don't know if it's an actual HR rep from Spike or if they just put out an ad in the paper calling for people to come do this. Now that I say that out loud, I'm going to guess it was the latter, given the fact that I cannot fathom Spike having an HR rep.
Bob really wanted to stuff his new pastry chef.
You like your bun stuffed.
This guy looks like the weird best friend from every 2000s comedy morphed into one.
So he pulled out an old trick that was guaranteed to get him one step closer to Cindy's buns.
You swallow one spoonful of the cinnamon, I'll let you go home. But if you can't swallow it, you go on a date with me tonight.
The cinnamon challenge is a popular prank.
I also feel bad for this woman, like she's already acting in a SpikeTV show and having to do a scene like this and having to do the fucking cinnamon challenge.
Bob's trick backfired. He stumbled blindly and then got too close to the spinning blades of the dough machine. It was a double whammy. He would have choked to death, but the skull-crushing blades got there first.
So in a matter of like 6 seconds, a lot happened. Probably the most subversions yet. Like at first I thought it was going to be the cinnamon, like maybe he's allergic to it. But no. Then the tie. No. And then he ended up getting his head kneaded like bread. And you know what? I do think this would be pretty lethal. I think it's pretty obvious, and I don't think we need a doctor to explain.
The impact of the blade caused an almost immediate skull fracture.
Am I crazy, or is this the 7th doctor we've seen yet? We don't need this many doctors to tell us any of this shit, because it's not like they're giving us any specific knowledge from their area of expertise that we cannot already deduce ourselves. I dropped out of community college after 2 days of one class, and I still think I could throw a doctor's coat on and say this shit. You see, when someone's head goes into a dough machine, it's not okay, because it's a dough machine, not a head machine. So they the head is like bread and they die. Hey, you know what? I haven't gotten my check for like the last 7 appearances I've made. Is there someone I can talk to about that? Okay, I'll give him that one. That was pretty good. 8 out of 10.
Heather is throwing a party, and she wants everything to be perfect.
What is this? Wipe it off right now.
Perfect. Another, let's just make them the worst ever. But no, that's not enough. They have to make her even worse.
Heather's a little more than uptight, because it's not just any party. It's an underground stolen art auction.
Her being a piece of shit would have sufficed, but no, they had to make her even worse and add extra layers to it and make her have an auction for underground stolen art.
With no confidence in the rent-a-help, Heather decided to pour the bubbly herself. Bad idea.
It's really in there.
And just like that, 'tis not the cork flying into her eye, but her reacting to that and falling backwards on a bunch of broken glass. That is the death blow. Also, this guy is really fucking tired. That's one of the things I love about these shows. The actors. Because I don't know what would be worse, being a struggling actor in 2010 having to take on roles like this for cash, or being a struggling actor in 2022 having to take on life lesson content roles for cash. You could just be Trisha Paytas and literally do both. Now I know some of you who watched the first video know that is a recycled joke, but I had to. There's no way I'm wasting that fucking joke on an age-restricted video. I've got to let that one fly.
With a puncture wound to the brachial artery, which is located in the arm.
So then, of course, we get a doctor's explanation, if you needed that.
It was Minnesota's first big snowstorm of the winter, and Wilbur was ready. He had just bought a brand new snowblower. All he needed to do was run the engine for a while to break it in.
Now, the next expert we're going to see gave me a similar reaction to the HR rep, like, oh, that person?
The North American continent, the United States, averages a little over 100 snowstorms per year. We average about 1,200 deaths per year after a major snowstorm.
It's literally just a meteorologist explaining the dangers of winter, which he's not wrong, but me being an expert in having already watched this episode, can tell you that everything he said has nothing to do with how this guy dies.
Wilbur spent all his time in the garage pretending to tinker while pounding beer after beer.
But per usual, we have the normal spread.
Wilbur,
What?
promise me a day with the kids.
I'll be in there when I'm there, okay?
He, of course, a piece of shit, and they're gonna ring us around the fucking rosy a few times with different little teases of what might actually kill him. One of which is him sharpening an axe, which the reason I thought that was not because it's an axe, but because they literally filmed and edited it to look like it was gonna be the final one.
Every man of the North needs a sharp axe.
But no, it's not. Something I was thinking of when watching this part was the fact that this is probably another, like, completely fictitious one, but they still have to run with the idea that these are all based off true events, because if you take that away, then it's a pretty weird fucking show. It would just be a fictional show about people dying in ways that the writers conjured up. So the fact that it's true stories makes it kind of at least feel like a solid concept for a show. But anyways, back to it. It's not the axe. It's not carbon monoxide poisoning from a snowblower running inside. It's something completely different, kind of.
Filling the garage up with deadly carbon monoxide. A woozy Wilbur decided it was the right time to oil the spinning blades of the blower.
Yep, it's a mix of a few of them. Except the fucking axe. The axe ends up having nothing to do with this whatsoever. They literally just threw it in to just throw us off their trail. Also, aren't you glad that the meteorologist just talked to us for 30 seconds about none of this shit? But then, of course...
So yeah,
guys, that was 1,000 Ways to Die. Again. But yeah, guys, I hope you did enjoy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't. All those things help me out. And with all that being said, I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.